4 more of the stupidest wars in world history. 1. The Pastry War. After his Mexico City pastry shop was destroyed by a lawless mob in 1828, a French chef named Remontel asked the Mexican government to pay damages, a request it promptly ignored. So he asked the French government for help instead, but everyone quickly forgot about the request. 10 years later, the incident somehow caught the attention of King Louis Philippe, who demanded the Mexicans pay Remontel, including a whopping 90% interest rate. When they refused, the French blockaded Mexico and occupied the city of Veracruz. Mexican General Antonio López de Santa Anna came out of retirement to fight the French, but even he couldn't help. The French stayed until Mexico agreed to pay. However, it didn't cough up the dough after France pulled out, leading to another French invasion in 1861. But then the French Empire fell, and everyone finally forgot about it for good. 2. The War of Jenkins' Ear. In 1731, a British trader named Robert Jenkins was stopped by Spanish authorities and accused of smuggling. The Spaniards seized his entire cargo. For good measure and no reason, they also cut off his ear. 8 years later, the British were looking for an excuse to force Spain out of the Caribbean and South America, so they launched a war that saw 25,000 dead or wounded and nearly 5,000 ships lost to avenge that ear. 3. The Opium Wars. In the late 1830s, Britain needed Chinese tea, silks and other products. The only problem was the Chinese didn't really need any British goods. So there was a bit of a trade imbalance. To fix that, the British created a need in China, then promptly filled it with opium. This didn't thrill the Chinese at all. China began to use its military to enforce drug laws, stop British smugglers, keep Chinese people from getting addicted to opium and prevent its currency from folding. The British cried foul and began to use the Royal Navy to enforce free trade principles on China. This meant accepting 7,000 annual tons of opium at gunpoint, as well as opening 5 ports to British ships and giving up Hong Kong. It was the worst trade deal in the history of trade deals, maybe ever. No wonder China is the way it is. 4. The Kettle War. The name, Kettle War, doesn't so much describe the war as how it ends, but the whole thing is stupid. For more than a century, the Northern Netherlands had been an independent republic, and the Southern Netherlands were dominated by the Holy Roman Empire. One day in 1784, the emperor suddenly decided he wanted ports in the south open to trade via the river Scheldt, which was cut off by the north and had been for that same 100 years. Instead of asking nicely, the Holy Roman Emperor sent a group of ships to the river's opening, including the latest triumph in shipbuilding technology, the flagship Luluis. The powerful flotilla was met by a single Dutch ship, the Dolphin, which fired one shot straight at Luluis. It didn't hurt anyone, but did hit a soup kettle, which caused the flagship to surrender immediately.